of National Art Commission and the community and the county with a view to getting this resolved.
Just a follow-up on that, Chair. I'm aware that this matter has gone to court. Garissa is my neighbor on this other side. And I know what you're saying is true because also in Turkana, they also went to court, that Turkana Power Project, on the issue of land. So the question I'm asking, whether there is an out-of-court settlement, whether it will be a full hearing in court, the question I'm asking is, would that then convert into a liability to Kenyans to pay any extra cost should that come to that, or will Garissa Power, solar power, take up that liability should it come to that? I wanted that clarification because we are concerned about the cost of power to the consumers. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator. It is true this issue went to court. There are concerted efforts to ensure that this an out-of-court settlement. This is still ongoing. But assuming worst-case scenario that it goes to full hearing and an award is given, this will not affect the cost of power. But of course, it will have an impact on government cash flow to the extent that then the government has to fund the compensation. But in terms of the cost of power, the tariff remains 549 US cents up to the period of 20 years, when now there can be an opening for renegotiations.
It's Honorable Senator Sifuna.
Chair, I do want to finish the question of the cost until this question was answered. He has made it clear that at least for the repayment of the loans, it will be done in the currency that was advanced. Then clarify for me why you bill Kenya Power in US dollars, seeing that your project was fully financed by a loan. Kenya Power in the same currency of yuan, because you see the problem we have is that we are the ones who take the hit when the dollar fluctuates in the manner in which it is doing right now. What is the justification for you billing Kenya Power in US dollars?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator. The basis of billing Kenya Power is the PPA agreement. And if you look at the negotiations that were done between KPLC ourselves and approved by EPRA, the negotiations were done on the basis of the dollar. So we are billing Kenya Power on the basis of the signed PPA agreement. Probably then the question then would be, why did we negotiate on dollar basis? Probably, and this is just my comment, is maybe the convertibility of the currency. It's easier to convert dollars than the yen.
But you were given a loan in yen, my brother. Even you as a government agency, in fact, you should be contracting on Kenya shillings. Why was it not possible for you, Kenya Power, a government agency, you yourselves a government agency, generating solar in Kenya, selling electricity to Kenyans? Why wouldn't you denominate it in Kenya shillings? Because I have explained to you that your other, let's say, call them competitors, people like Turkana and the other wind farm, they were getting money from outside, denominated in USD. So they have a justification to sell the power based on USD because their entire cost was based on USD. What was so difficult, government to government, Kenya Power to REREC, denominating your contract in Kenya shillings or in the Chinese currency that you obtained the loan, because we would be better protected from the fluctuations. You agree with me, if your rate was in Kenya shillings, we will not be suffering the way we are when the dollar hits 140.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator. Probably I'm trying to think what could have happened because I was not involved in the negotiations. But assuming even we are billing Kenya Power in terms of Kenya shillings, and the repayments will be in a foreign denominated currency. It would still mean that if the Kenyan shilling depreciates against the currency that we are using, the government will still have to incur more in terms of repayment of the loan. As to why it was agreed in dollar, I can only say maybe it's because of the comfortability of the currency, but I was not involved in the negotiations, Senator.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, you know,
Mr. Chairman.
yes, sir.
You know I am not in any way near where the CEO is. But CEO, I think to get out of that question, you need maybe to put it on Hansard, that your responsibility does not include formulating policy. So because the policy to pay in USD was not yours, don't take responsibility for it. It's more hygienic that way.
Maybe just come out clearly, because from the start you've also said, CEO, that basically you were a purpose vehicle that the minister wanted to use to quicken this project and bring the cost of power to come down. The ministry chose REREC because of the new expanded mandate. Your mandate expanded 2019, but they engaged you from 2016 before they got the mandate. So I think they just wanted a quick to use government to government, and they saw the only entity that was there then was yourself, because KenGen is not fully 100% owned by the government. So just put it in record, because this was basically between the ministry. And the ministry is maybe when Kenya Power comes here, we will ask them why all PPS, basically almost all of them, they're in USD or Euro. So just, it was not the mandate of REREC then. It was the ministry's business that negotiated, and because also the Chinese currency, it also, there's a way, maybe they don't directly convert using our own currency, Kenya shillings. They use the US dollars. Yeah? So just make it clear so that it's in record.
Chair, I would caution that as a committee we don't speak for.
No, I'm not.
For the people who are before us. It is enough for the CEO to say that he was not involved. But you will remember the genesis of this inquiry. That in fact Kenyans need to understand why all this pain. So if we were inquiring into the cost of electricity, and I know from my own bill that every time the currency fluctuation hits us, my bill goes up. I must address the question of the currency fluctuation. It is not about us fault finding. In fact, we want to find a solution so that if we agree that going forward, all these contracts should be done in our local currency, because we've never seen the sort of depreciation that we've seen against the US dollar. Perhaps, are you aware, if you compare the rate of depreciation of the Kenyan shillings in the past 5 years and as vis-a-vis the one, and I suspect, because I know how the Chinese contract, even those solar panels were supplied by those Chinese themselves. So it would have been possible for you, because your input was in yuan, your repayments are going to be in yuan, you should have agreed with Kenya Power that is the currency you are going to pay. But it is not for us to say.
And Central Bank have one anyway.
Yeah, Chair and Senator, allow me to say that it is true. If you look at even the loan itself, this loan was negotiated as government-to-government loan, whereby Treasury signed the loan with Exim Bank. REREC was given this project to implement. So basically then, we are implementing at a negotiated loan, at a negotiated PPA, and maybe the comment then would be, it would be nice if we are able to negotiate loans denominated in Kenya shillings. But in most cases, you'd find the providers of the loan probably would prefer something different. But it's a good thing to ensure that we cushion ourselves by having loans denominated in Kenya shillings.
So we have actually seen the agreement here. It is signed by the same fellow, the chair. Substantive chair has been talking about Mr. Nyoike and the team that has put this country into the mess. Now, yours is your rural electrification. Now that you did 54 point something megawatts in Kariza, what is the connectivity around that area? Because as a rural entity, I mean to lighting rural, I hope within that area you've done something. Can you give us the status of connectivity in Kariza? Because it is, you've said Kenya is now, we're at 75%. I want to report to you, Elgeyo Marakwet County, we're at about 29. Marakwet West, where I served as an MP, is about 41%. Marakwet East is 8%. Kenya North about 43, Chaos 46, Kenya North is about 43%. So basically, there are some areas that are rural that you need to focus on. So what is the status of Kariza where you have generated power? And give us, what's your way forward for under connected counties? Like Elgeyo Marakwet County, where I come from, we are 29%. So basically, it's like we are not part of Kenya.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senators. Chair, I do not have a report on Garissa right away, but it is true there are areas which are higher in terms of connectivity than the others. And if you look at the major concern in terms of ensuring that we achieve the universal access, the issue is normally funding. Because basically, unless we get sufficient funding to ensure that all the rural areas are funded, then the pace of connectivity and opening up access still remains low. We are actually looking at our budgets. We are looking at the connectivity rates. Then probably we'll be paying attention to areas with low connectivity with a view to helping them at least achieve something reasonable in terms of connectivity.
It's a new senator who has just walked in. Senator Narok, you can introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning. My name is Leda Molokina, Minority Whip and Senator Narok County, and a member of this committee.
Great. Mungatana, you have something?
Yes, Chair. I wanted the CEO to please clarify to the committee. In your letter dated 30th April this year, you listed the number of pending invoices to be settled by KPLC, 14 of them. Total in USD, which we have raised issues about, 5.8 million. I don't know if you follow. Yes. So the question I wanted to ask is, what is the status now? Where are we? Is it the same 14 invoices unpaid? And then as a follow-up question on that, are there penalties that you are exposing, KPLC, therefore the consumers, Kenyans, within the agreement? And have you levied any? And if you have, a third question is how much in terms of penalties have you, put to KPLC? And is there a possibility, fourth, is there a possibility of, doing away with those penalties for the sake of saving costs to the Kenyan consumers? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Senator. Sorry. Thank you, Senator. If you look at the way we are billing KPLC, we are billing KPLC on a monthly basis. And the generation started 2018 November. So we have billed them all the period. These are the only invoices that they have not been able to pay to us But you'll find probably this is a situation that changes when KPLC has some funds and they pay us. In terms of penalties, we do not have penalty or interest cross in our service revenue agreements. So we are not charging KPLC any other extra cost.
So as we stand now, is still 14 invoices unpaid?
Yes, these are the 14 unpaid invoices. But now we are going to add another one for April this year.
Okay. Yeah. And when are you expecting a payment from them in terms of your follow-up arrangements? When do they pay? They pay once every quarter, once half year, or what is your experience with KPLC?
Maybe just to mention, other than the billing from this station, KPLC is also supposed to remit the 5% correction to REREC. And what they've been doing is, there's a time KPLC was not able to pay most of these monthly payments, but like the last more than a year, they've been paying on a monthly basis. So at least they are paying on monthly basis, both for the generation in Garissa and the 5% levy remittance to REREC.
Good, Senator.
Yeah, Chair, we had a conversation with one IPP which produces renewable energy. And we could see from the merit order of KPLC that they were actually amongst the cheaper ones. But they complained very curiously that sometimes they are actually curtailed by Kenya Power in favor of more expensive sources. I want to ask, have you as Garissa Power experienced this unreasonable curtailment at any point?
The answer is no, Chair and the Senator. All the power that we produce has been received by Kenya Power. At no time we have been told to curtail our generation.
Good, Senator Olakina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the disadvantage of coming late is that you might ask a question that has already been asked. But with that may be, I just need some clarity. I'm looking at your submission here, my good friend from REREC. And I note that you've been constantly supplying Kenya Power and Lighting with power, but they haven't been paying you. The most logical question to ask is that why continue supplying them with power? Because I'm looking at it, every single month, the only month that they partially paid you was in November 2021. You go March 2022, April, May, June, August, you come all this month. Why is it that they haven't paid you? So that's question number one. There is also the issue of currencies. I'm told you've already responded to that query in terms of currencies, where you bill KPLC in US dollars, you are given a loan in the Chinese yuan, and of course, you now have to pay back that loan. Why would you not, now that you are the CEO, and I know this happened before,